Most B2B SaaS apps don't really charge the user, they charge the organization. The company pays and the team uses it. But if you look at most tutorials, they will have you attach the Stripe customer ID to the user. And it kinda works until you add teams. What I really like about Better Auth is that it actually fits the organization model very well. So in this video, I'm setting up organization-based Auth with Stripe subscriptions attached directly to the organization and not the user. It's everything you need to start a real SaaS. Auth, organizations, payments, all wired up. Let me show you how. Alright, I'm starting with a simple React Router v7 app and email OTP from Better Auth. If you want to see how I set that up, please check out my previous video. But today we are going to add organizations and Stripe payments to this setup. So we will hook up subscriptions directly on organization itself instead of the user. Let's start by adding organizations plugin. So on Better Auth, let's write organization. And it's as simple as just copying this plugin and pasting it in our setup. Let's also import organizations plugin. And while we're here, let's also do Stripe, since we'll be using Stripe, and we will need to import two plugins. So the plugin itself and the Stripe SDK. Let's copy paste that, and then we will need Stripe. Let's run it, and let's go back here, and we will need to initiate the Stripe client itself. So let's copy that and paste it here. Import Stripe from Stripe. For env, I will delete the process and import it from my function. If you want to see what it is, it's just basically Zod validation for my env keys. And what it does is basically making sure that I always have the correct keys in development and production. Now we're getting a warning here, and it's due to the wrong date. So let's just copy the newest date and paste it in here. Let's remove that, and we are all good here. Now we will need to also initiate the plugin itself. So let's paste that, import it from Better Auth Stripe, and create customer on signup. We will actually not be using that since we will have the Stripe customer ID on organization itself. So let's remove that. I will import my Stripe webhook secret. And to actually get our Stripe webhook secret, we can run command stripe listen forward to localhost 3000 API of Stripe webhooks. And here we'll get our secret for development purposes. In production, you can go to Stripe dashboard and set it up there. Let's copy that and paste it into our .env. So for webhooks, we just paste it in. And to get our secret, let's go into the Stripe dashboard. Let's write developers, API keys, and here you will see your secret key. Let's copy that, paste it in. We continue a bit downwards for advanced usage using with organizations. Let's actually copy both things because we will be using organizations and subscriptions itself too. For plans, now we just leave an empty array, and that should work. And to create our first plan, we can go back to Stripe dashboard, product catalog, create new product. Let's name it Pro, recurring, and let's say 100 crowns per month. This can also be dollars and so forth. Let's add the product. And here on the product, we just need the price itself. So we copy price ID, go to our plans, and let's name our plan as Pro. And then we insert our price ID, which we got here. When we have that done, we need to generate our schema. So pnpm auth generate, it's a package script. It basically Better Auth generate and in our config, the output where I want it to be. So it's going to be inside here. Let's override it. And here we got our schema. So we get our user table, and somewhere here we get our organization table with Stripe customer ID, and we should also have subscriptions. Now let's run migration. So pnpm migrations gen. I also have it as a script here. It's just drizzle-kit generate and drizzle-kit migrate. Let's run apply, and that should have applied to our database. Amazing. And now we're basically done with our Better Auth config. Now we just need to implement these features. So let's run pnpm dev to start our dev environment. And on the website, we just have a sign-in button with a simple login form. We can try logging in hello@gmail.com, and we should get a code here. And this is our onboarding page. Let's go to our onboarding, and we should probably get started with creating organizations itself. So let's create a simple form with input of type text name org name, and then one more for org slug. Let's also have a button type of submit and create organization. Our form looks like this right now, very boring. We can actually maybe use our login design we have here, and we use it on our onboarding. Let me fix it up real quick. It's not looking so great, but for this video I will stick to minimal UI just so I can show up the features quicker. Now going back to our form, let's do method of post, and for posting we will export const action, and inside our action we will have type of route and then action args. Let's return nothing now. And to get our form submissions, let's write const form data await request form, and we get our name and slug just like this. Of course, there's prettier ways to do this with Zod, but for now I will just keep it as simple as possible. And if there's no name slug, we just throw a error. Let's also protect this route so only people who have signed in can access it. So let's export const loader equal to the function, return it, then write const session equal to await auth API get session, and then we will pass headers as requests headers. Let's console log this, and let's see if we get our session here. We got our session with email ID. We can actually run npm studio. Let's copy this and paste it into our browser, and we'll see the whole database structure here. So on users, we see our user is created here in the database. Now going back to creating our organization, let's also add input of type hidden, which is name, intent, and value create org. Inside our action, let's const intent equal to form data get intent, and if intent is equals to create org, let's wrap everything around here. For creating org, we write await auth.api create organization. Inside the organization, it expects to get the body with type name and slug. You can also pass stuff like keep current active organization, logo, metadata, and user ID, but for now we don't need that. Let's also assign this a constant, so organization equals to this function, and we will pass headers here too. And now let's see console log created organization if everything works correctly here. Now going back, let's create a lens organization, create, and we got our session console, and if we scroll upwards, yeah, we see our created organization here. So we got our name, slug, we didn't pass any logo, and we were attached as a member of organization with role owner. As we can see also in our session, active organization was automatically set as this new created organization, which is perfect. In our loader, let's actually get all organizations that I'm a member of. So let's write const orgs equal to await db. Let's import that query, and instead of organizations, we'll take member, find many with, and organizations is true. So now we will get member list and the organization itself. Let's also add where check. So where member, that's correct, and equal to session user ID. Let's also make so if there's no session, let's return a redirect back to the login page. I actually forgot to add that, so we protect the route. Now we can write orgs equal to orgs map, and then we map only through all organizations instead of also getting the member itself. In our component, we get loader data from route component props. And let's just do a simple display now of loader data dot orgs, and let's map it for it, and then let's return just a slug and a name with key slug. As you can see now, we are getting our organizations. Let's create a new one called hello hello, and it appears here instantly. Let's also make this a bit more prettier. And here I actually moved our form to the left side and our all organizations to the right side. And I use just a simple chassis and card component. Now let's make so we can actually enter our organizations. So in routes, let's create a file called org plus dynamic ID plus index.tsx. And this file just const org page arrow function. Let's return div and hello. Export it now. Now when we have it done, let's go back to our onboarding, and instead of button, let's actually make this a link, and we link it to the href org ID, and we pass the ID as IID from the loaders data. Instead of wrapping button with the link, I actually like doing class name equals to button variants, and here we can pass a variant outline class name full, and now we can remove the button. And as you can see, our buttons are looking exactly the same, and now we can link it to our organization itself, and we don't see anything right now. So let's go back here, and inside our loader, let's actually get the session, import auth. We will need params, and let's import the route. If there's no session, we just return back to login again. As you can see in our params, we get type of ID, which is going to be the organization ID itself. And now to get the organization itself, let's write const organization equal to await b query, and then we get member again and find first with organization equal to true. And we also need to do the where check. So let's tab here, and it actually wrote everything correctly for us. We don't need a question mark here since we have a check here, which basically checks if the user is a member of this organization. And instead of and operator, we will actually use and from result itself. And let's wrap this both with it and separate it with comma. And the other check is checking if the organization ID is equal to the params ID. Now let's console log the organization. And now as we can see, we get our organization. Let's return it from the loader organization. And let's receive it here from loader data, route component props, and we can get it directly. And I realized we also returning all the member data, which we don't need. So let's just return organization.organization. And instead of question mark, if there's no organization, let's just return back to our onboarding. Since if you couldn't find this organization, that means you either are not a member of it or this organization just doesn't exist at all. And now we can remove the question mark, and in our component we can just organization.name, and we see on our page we got HelloLens, which is the organization name itself. And yeah, I just centered the whole in the middle so we can see everything clear. Now if we go back to our onboarding, we can check our other organization, hello, and it says hello, so it's working. And we try creating a new organization, new, it adds, and we can enter it and it says hello new. Amazing, we got the whole organization set up ready. Of course, you can make it a lot prettier, add Shatsy on sidebar here using something like team switcher, so like a select with your all teams inside the dashboard itself. But yeah, I'm just going straight to the point, and I think the next step is just adding subscriptions so people can actually pay for your product. And here, once again, I added a simple card for our premium plan selection. And this card, you can move it to another route called billing, subscriptions, plans, whatever. But for simplicity, I'm just doing everything straight into one page. So on our button, let's create a form once again, which will be submitting to the action, of course. Type submit, and we write view events subscribe. Let's fix the spelling for form. Method of post. Let's add a hidden input. Type hidden name plan, and the value of the plan is pro. This should be the same naming as we have it in our Auth RTS, and we called it pro. And let's also add a input type hidden name intent value subscribe. Now we need to create our server logic, so let's export const action equal to async get form data, and we can also get intent from form data.get intent. If intent is equal to subscribe, we get the plan itself. Let's remove all this AI stuff, and yeah, if there's no plan, let's just throw error because you need to select that plan to subscribe to one. And to subscribe to organization, let's actually use const res equal to await auth API, and I think it's a grade subscription. Yeah, that's correct, and it expects to get the body of type plan, and plan we have already. Then for customer type, let's define it as organization since we're applying the subscription to our organization itself. And let's apply reference ID as organization ID. So we just get it from params org params.id. You can of course also pass the reference ID straight from form. So we would add like organization ID here or whatever, but we just take it straight from params. And now we can console log the results and see what actually happens when we press subscribe now. Let's go back now and try subscribing, and we got API error unauthorized because I actually forgot to add headers request headers, and that's the beauty of Better Auth, but it already told me I made a mistake there. Let's try subscribing again, and it says organization subscription is not enabled, and the error says that we are missing authorized reference. Oh yeah, to fix that, let's just copy authorized reference, go back to Better Auth, and we can just paste authorized reference. Let's go here and let's find it with command F. Here, authorization. Make sure to implement the authorization function to verify that the user has permission to manage subscriptions for the organization. And that's exactly what we were missing. So let's just copy this code snippet and let's paste it under subscriptions here. We don't need action, so let's remove that and No, it's not finding members. Oh, we need query here and then member. And for where, let's rewrite that a bit. Where member is equal to, and I think I did it for me. Let's check it out. And member user ID is equal to user ID. We don't need this condition. And it's same for reference ID. Yeah, the reference ID will be the organization ID. Perfect. And now we return if the member role is owner or admin, return true. That means only admins and owners can actually subscribe or manage the subscriptions itself. So now when we have that working, I think we can try again on our local host to subscribe. Let's see what happens now. Subscribe. And now going back to our console, let's make this bigger. We see that we actually created our subscription session. So we have our object of checkout session, customer, metadata of subscription ID, and we got our URL. And this URL should be used to redirect a user now to the checkout session. So let's do that. And now instead of logging the results, let's actually redirect into the res URL. And it says it might be string or null. So let's just write or empty string. And of course here you should do some error handling, but for simplicity I'm keeping it like this. And now let's try pressing subscribe again. And amazing, we got actually redirected to Stripe itself. So now let's just test gmail.com and let's play with card. And the test card for Stripe is 424242424242. This doesn't matter. And then let's pay. Let's see if it actually works. And we actually got an error here because we got redirected to a route that doesn't exist, which is API of subscriptions. And I forgot to actually handle all these routes. So let's create a new route called API. And inside API we have auth dynamic route TSX. And here we will export const loader and we will return auth API. No, instead of API, we actually gonna return just a handler itself and we pass request. So this will handle everything automatically that goes into loader here. Let's import types here too. And we will also need action here. So let's just copy paste that. And instead of loader args, let's actually use action args. And it's also the same here. We just return auth handler. Now going back, let's try subscribe again. And we get redirected just fine as previously. 424242 name, and let's pay and subscribe, and hopefully this time actually it will work. We got redirected back to localhost 3000, which is maybe not what we want. So let's add the success URL, which is href.org, and cancel URL is also the same. It will just go back to the same route. And to test that out, let's go back to onboarding and let's try another organization. Let's subscribe here, pay and subscribe. And this time it actually redirected me back to the organization itself, which is perfect. Now it doesn't look like we have subscribed to anything. And to fix that, let's go back to our loader. Let's get our subscriptions. So subscription equal to await auth API. Get, I think, active. And here it is, list active subscriptions. And it expects to receive a query, which is customer type or organization, and the reference ID is just params ID. Let's also pass the headers. That is correct, and it added an extra bracket which we remove, and now console log a subscription. We should actually receive our subscription, and yeah, that's true. We are subscribed to the pro plan. It started today and it ends in 1 month. Now we can also return the subscription. Let's receive it in our loader data, and the subscription type is actually of array. Is because Stripe allows multiple subscriptions on one user or organization. And let's go downwards to our button and we write subscription length is above or equal to 1. Then we just write you already have an active subscription or otherwise subscribe. And yeah, it says you already have an active subscription because we have one. Let's also disable the button if the length is equal or 1. So we can't subscribe anymore. And to make it clear that the user actually has the subscription, we can add another card. And here I just map through all our subscriptions and I display the active or inactive status and the end date of it. To actually cancel the subscriptions, let's add another button. So card footer. And let's add a form of a button cancel subscription. Type submit. And let's pass in put type hidden intent cancel, And yeah, now when we have our cancel button, let's make it also variant of destructive. And in our action, if intent is equal to cancel now, we will have a wait of API cancel subscription, and the body expects to receive a customer type, which is organization, reference ID, which is params ID, so the organization ID itself, and also it expects to receive a return URL, which we just return back to this. And also we will need to pass the subscription ID, and for that we will need to receive a const subscription ID from our form. Let's pass that too. Let's pass it here. And in our form, we will put a hidden input once again, which is subscription ID, and then the sub ID itself, which we get right here. Once again, we forgot to pass headers. And here we were actually passing the wrong ID. So instead of ID, we should be passing the subscription ID itself, since this ID is just the way it's saved in our database. And now we can write results, console log results. And let's see what happens when we press this cancel button now. Cancel, and we get our URL and redirect. So let's actually return redirect to res URL or nothing. And now let's see if it works. Cancel subscription. We're actually getting redirected to the Stripe. And here it says confirm cancellation. Let's actually cancel the subscription. It's too expensive, submit. And now let's go back to our application. And yeah, our subscription has been canceled now, and we get our cancel at date when it's canceled. And at the end of the period end, user will not be charged again, the status will be changed back to canceled. We can also use webhooks here. I'm not gonna go for that at this video, but it's also pretty easy to set up. If we go to, for example, here, you can use on event and check the webhooks you're getting and do whatever you want with them. And same with subscription lifecycle hooks. You can just use the hooks, and let's say if you want to send the email on subscription complete, you can do that straight from Auth config right here. But for today, that's it. I hope it was easy to follow through, and now you actually understand how to manage subscriptions for your organizations. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.